Was Billy the Kid really a cold-blooded killer? Were saloons always violent? The real Wild West was far stranger than the myths we believe. Join us as we revisit these iconic images and debunk 20 long-standing legends. Myth 1. The Wild West was pure chaos. The West was pure, unbridled chaos. While danger certainly existed, it wasn't a land of anarchy. In reality, many frontier towns maintained very organized legal systems. They had strict local ordinances and functional courts to manage the daily ups and downs. It was far more disciplined than the movies ever showed you. Myth 2. Only cowboys wore Stetsons. The iconic Stetson hat? That image is largely fictional. The classic cowboy hat only became popular very late in the 19th century. Before that, real working cowboys wore whatever was practical. You'd mostly see them in bowler hats or even wide-brimmed sombreros to survive the brutal sun. The 10-gallon look is a modern Hollywood invention. Myth 3. Black hats versus white hats. This is a classic Hollywood trope that is pure imagination. The idea that outlaws wore black hats while lawmen wore white ones is total nonsense. In the real West, everyone dressed for survival. Criminals and marshals alike wore dark, dusty, and practical clothes, making it almost impossible to tell them apart just by looking at their outfits. Myth 4. Dramatic high-noon duels. Those dramatic, lightning-fast duels in the middle of a deserted street? Incredibly rare. Most gunfights weren't honorable face-offs at high noon. They were usually messy, unexpected outbursts in crowded bars or cowardly ambushes from behind. Real violence was fast, ugly, and had zero cinematic flair. It was about survival, not style. Myth 5. Billy the Kid killed 21 people. The legend says Billy the Kid took 21 lives, one for every year of his life. But history tells a different story. Modern historians believe the real number is much lower, likely only 4 or 5 people. The exaggerated count was fueled by dime novels and sensationalist newspapers of the time, creating a monster out of a petty thief. Myth 6. Bank robberies were common. Movies make it seem like banks were robbed every Tuesday. In reality, it was shockingly rare. Most banks in the West were built like fortresses, with armed guards and heavy vaults. Between 1859 and 1900, there were only about a dozen confirmed bank robberies in the entire frontier. It was just too risky, even for the boldest outlaws. Myth 7. The frontier was all desert. When you think of the West, do you see nothing but sand and cactus? That's a total misconception. While the Southwest has its deserts, the majority of the frontier was incredibly diverse. We're talking about vast, fertile Great Plains, thick, ancient forests, and massive snow-capped mountain ranges. It was a land of profound beauty and varied climates. Myth 8. Constant saloon brawls. Hollywood loves a good bar fight. Chairs breaking, glass flying everywhere. But in reality, saloons were the essential hubs of the community. People went there to conduct serious business, talk politics, or even collect their mail. Fights happened, but they were rare. Most owners wouldn't tolerate property damage, and customers just wanted a quiet drink. Myth 9. Cowboys only rode horses. We always picture the cowboy glued to his horse, but that's only half the story. While horses were vital for herding, many cowboys used whatever transport was available. They traveled by heavy wagons, stagecoaches, and as the century progressed, the train became their primary way to cover long distances. They also spent a lot of time just walking. Myth 10. Women had no power. The idea that women were just damsels in distress is pure myth. Women in the West were incredibly tough and influential. Many were successful business owners, landholders, and even law enforcers. Take stagecoach Mary Fields, a former slave who became a legendary mail carrier in Montana, known for her toughness and her .38 caliber revolver.
Myth 11. Jesse James was Robin Hood. Jesse James is often romanticized as a hero who robbed the rich to give to the poor, but that is a lethal lie. In truth, there is zero historical evidence that he ever shared his loot with anyone outside his gang. He was a violent criminal, driven by personal greed. He robbed banks and trains for one reason only, to line his own pockets. Myth 12. Star-shaped sheriff badges. That shiny, perfect, five-pointed star, that's mostly a prop from Hollywood sets. Real frontier badges were often crude and handmade, sometimes cut from silver coins or scraps of sheet metal. They came in all shapes, circles, shields, or even simple ovals. Many didn't even have the word sheriff engraved on them at all. Myth 13. Buffalo Bill was a real cowboy. Buffalo Bill Cody was a legend, but he was more of a master of marketing than a master of the range. While he had experience as a scout, his real talent was showmanship. He created Buffalo Bill's Wild West, a massive touring circus that sold a highly stylized, romanticized version of frontier life. He didn't live the life, he performed it. Myth 14. Tombstone was the deadliest town. Tombstone, Arizona. The name alone sounds deadly, but despite its reputation, it wasn't the most dangerous place in the West. Its fame comes almost entirely from one event, the gunfight at the OK Corral. Statistically, towns like Dodge City often had higher rates of violence. Tombstone was actually a sophisticated mining center with grand hotels and fine dining. Myth 15. Outlaws were easy to recognize. In movies, you can spot the villain a mile away. In reality, outlaws were desperate to blend in. Many of the most dangerous men lived quiet, ordinary lives in small towns. They worked as ranch hands, clerks, or blacksmiths, waiting for the heat to die down. They didn't look like monsters, they looked like your neighbors, until they drew their guns. Myth 16. All cowboys were marksmen. Being a cowboy was a job, not an action-adventure. Most of these men were low-paid ranch hands who spent 18 hours a day in the saddle, dealing with stubborn cows and harsh weather. Ammo was expensive, and practice was a luxury. While they carried guns for protection, very few were actually expert marksmen. Their skill was with a rope, not a revolver. Myth 17. Government support for settlers. The dream of free land was often a nightmare. While the Homestead Act promised opportunity, the reality was a web of broken promises. Settlers often faced brutal conditions with zero help from the government. Even worse, powerful railroad corporations often used legal loopholes or outright intimidation to kick families off the land they had worked for years. Myth 18. The Pony Express was a success. The Pony Express is a staple of Western lore, but as a business, it was a total disaster. It only operated for a mere 18 months, from 1860 to 1861. Why did it fail? The invention of the transcontinental telegraph. Why pay a rider to gallop for weeks when you could send a message in seconds? It lost a fortune and went bankrupt overnight. Myth 19. Easy wealth in the gold rush. The gold rush wasn't a ticket to easy wealth. For most, it was a trap. The vast majority of prospectors arrived too late, or spent their life savings on supplies, only to find nothing. Most ended up working as laborers for large mining corporations, or dying in debt. The people who really got rich, they were the ones selling the shovels. Myth 20. The lonely cowboy myth. The lonely cowboy riding into the sunset is a poetic image, but it's not reality. Cowboys were highly social. They worked in teams, lived in crowded bunkhouses, and relied on each other for survival in a dangerous environment. A man alone on the prairie was a dead man. Their bond was forged in hard labor and shared meals. The real Wild West was far more complex than the movies led us to believe. Which of these myths surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, smash that like button and subscribe to Vintage Shots for more untold history. See you in the next one.